Hello, I am Carlos Marcelo. This is Frontiers of Ideas, and today we are gonna talk about why Trump says he wants Greenland so much. This January of 2026, Donald Trump came back to arguing he wants to annex Greenland. But why so? Considering Iran is a much higher problem, a regime that supports the Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Hamas in Gaza, the Houthis in Yemen. They used it to support Assad in Syria. And this regime is internally getting very weak, with mass protests chanting over the comeback of the Shah, in this case, coming back of the son of the Shah who left Iran in 79. And this man, Pahlavi II, he is being very insistent that right now is the proper moment to do the regime change because now there is a momentum. It's the perfect storm for the regime. So why doesn't Trump take the chance to overthrow the regime right now and instead he decides to talk about Greenland together with Canada and Venezuela? But that's another problem. But why this insistence on making Greenland become American territory? Some analysts of geopolitics argue that reason number one, that Greenland is important because of the missiles that could be sent by Russia. And depending on the position, like you see this pink line below, this purple line below, it can cross right on Denmark and reach the region of the New England in the northeastern coast of the US. So that could be a reason. But there are two problems with this rationale. The first is that America can already have military bases in Greenland thanks to treaties with Denmark. And reason number two, if you check the other purple line on above, the Russians can send a missile, a long-range missile, to the west coast of the US that will be unprotected. And actually, there are many military places in Russia that could strike with missiles, like on the far eastern coast near the Pacific, that could strike from, let's say, the Kamchatka Peninsula. And not only Russia, but China and North Korea too, they could all strike anywhere from on the US without having to cross Greenland. And looking on this other map, on this yellow line, Russia could use military bases on the southwest to strike and then make the ICBM cross south of Greenland without being intercepted. So this argument doesn't hold up. Then there is a second one involving the maritime routes that will be open because of the melting of the North Pole. And indeed, it can become a very strategic route to cross with both trade ships and military ships. The Duke Gap explains a little bit of that. The Duke is this passage right here that it has a G for Greenland, I for Iceland, and UK for the United Kingdom. That means the North Atlantic has a passage to the Norwegian Sea and all Russia. So apparently this argument can make sense. The problem is that the Russia's navy is all depleted. They didn't have the money to invest on maintaining the ships they inherited from the Soviet Union, and they also didn't make new ships. So they simply do not have the military capability to represent a danger to Greenland. Not only that, but also the Russian Black Sea Fleet was halved thanks to the Neptune missiles and maritime drones of the Ukrainian armed forces. China, on the other hand, they are much more concerned with issues on the south. Here we have the South China Sea that, despite the name, the international law establishes that the Philippines and Indonesia, Malaysia, Brunei, and Vietnam, they all share this piece of maritime land. And China, in order to enforce its will over its neighbors, Beijing has to use its Navy and Coast Guard to make the enforcement, to use its coercion against Filipino fishers, for instance. And there is also Taiwan that we can see on the map too. That is another issue. So the Chinese are too busy on the south to care much about the North Pole. And anyways, they would have to cross all the Bering Strait to reach Greenland. So there is no way the Chinese could even take Greenland if they wanted. So this argument of Russia and China representing a danger for the American interest in its neighborhood in Greenland also doesn't hold up. So why does Trump look so much more interested in taking a piece of a frozen island with nothing in it instead of taking Iran? I don't mean invading, but making strategic bombardments to make a final hit over the regime to help the Iranian protesters to put an end to it. One might speculate that it's to divert attention from the ICE scandal, but we still could ask, well, couldn't he divert attention by focusing on Iran? So, as I speak, on early morning of January 21st, there has been this news that the aircraft Abraham Lincoln that was in Southeast Asia, it crossed the Malacca Strait on Malaysia, and the last time the GPS pointed out where it was near Thailand and Malaysia, right here, as we can see, right here. And then the GPS simply stopped sending signals. They turned it off. And why? Well, let's make 2 plus 2. Donald Trump sends this aircraft carrier from Asia to the Indian Ocean, and also another aircraft on the Atlantic was sent to the Mediterranean, just close enough that its missiles could strike over Iran. So, this aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln, now the GPS is turned off. So, we don't even know where exactly it is, but it's somewhere on the Indian Ocean. At the same time that Donald Trump apparently only talks about Greenland. So, it may appear contradictory, but it may very well be just an old tactic of deception. Just when the Ayatollah thinks the American administration isn't thinking about Iran anymore because of Greenland, then they attack with all the power they got with Abraham Lincoln and the George Bush aircraft too. And I wouldn't be surprised to know that in an imminent attack over Iran, maybe they also use tomahawks that could be sent by submarines. Then on the news headlines, they'll talk about submarines that we weren't even discussing about. Remember, he is a showman. Donald Trump knows how to influence the media. You love him or hate him, but he knows how to make the journalists talk about what he wants to. This post right here immediately got viral, just like this one too. That was all the news could talk about. The journalists may hate him, but they need him to have their headline. So it is just too soon to talk about betrayal. What Trump really wants is not Greenland itself. He already got what he wanted. That is, making everybody talk about this supposed imperialist desire over Greenland. Meanwhile, the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln is somewhere on the Indian Ocean. The US can already have military bases over Greenland thanks to treaties with Denmark. Actually, the Thule base that JD Vance visited is there because of this agreement, and America can put many more military bases if they want to. Greenland is just a deception, like that fake army made of dummy tanks on the Overlord operation of the D-Day. And if you disagree, comment below what is your rationale. And if you enjoyed this content, like, share, subscribe, active notification bell. And if you want to, you can contribute with a Bitcoin donation with the QR code below. Thank you.